Hello and welcome to Skedlive for Monday, November 10th. I'm your host, Emily Singh. Here's what's making news today. Prime Minister Stephen Harper is in Beijing today for the APEC convention. Noel Fortner reports on that.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper met with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang in Beijing and oversaw the signing of $2.5 billion in trade agreements. These agreements are expected to drastically increase business relations between the two countries. One of the deals includes the creation of a currency hub, which allows Canadian and Chinese businesses to trade directly with one another. Until now, companies doing business in China had to convert Canadian currency into the American dollar and then into Chinese yen, which proved to be costly and decreased profits. Financial pundits say this deal could double or even triple trade between the two countries, with China having the second largest economy in the world next to the US. Harper's trip to China has also brought attention to another issue, as a Canadian couple has been detained in the country since August on accusations of espionage. Harper raised the issue to Premier Li, who responded by saying China is a country ruled by law and the judicial authorities in China will handle the case in accordance. There is no telling if this issue will be resolved. Noel Fortner, reporting for Skedlive.
Is expected to be back in Canada on Tuesday for Remembrance Day ceremonies. Back in Canada, there are going to be Remembrance Day ceremonies all over the country tomorrow. Skedline will be reporting in downtown Toronto for the ceremony. Tune in at 2 p.m. tomorrow for the live coverage. A suicide bomber disguised as a student bombed a high school in Nigeria today, killing 48 students. According to a hospital official, 79 others are injured at the high school in the northeastern city of Potiskum. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack yet. It was orchestrated in Yobe State, which is a territory close to the stronghold of Muslim Sunni Boko Haram militants. According to Reuters, angry locals had blocked access to the school and a local hospital, preventing security forces from gaining access to the site of the explosion. An Air Canada passenger is relieved to be alive. Christina Carrillo describes the experience of getting struck by a propeller blade that came crashing through her window during last Thursday's plane crash in Edmonton. She says the blow knocked her glasses off and left her dazed, bruised, and covered in fiberglass. Carrillo was one of 3 passengers who suffered minor injuries in the crash. Investigators are trying to determine the cause of the crash that caused the plane to make a rough emergency landing at the Edmonton airport. The plane was en route to Grand Prairie from Calgary. Here in Toronto, 2 people involved in a deadly crash yesterday are in critical condition. According to Toronto Paramedic Services, 1 patient has a head injury and the other has fractures to their extremities. The crash involved a TTC bus that smashed into a car before hitting a CIBC building, leaving the occupant of the car dead on the scene. 6 people involved in the crash were sent to hospital. The crash happened on Kipling Avenue, north of Rexdale Boulevard at about 6 a.m. on Sunday. Grace Cassioli has the weather forecast for today.
For today's weather, it's going to be a high of 8 and a low of 6 with a little bit of an overcast, so be prepared if you're doing anything outside. It might be a little bit chilly, but going into the 5-day forecast, it's going to be a little bit of a change in the mix-up. So for Tuesday, tomorrow for Remembrance Day, it's going to be perfect for any of you who are doing Remembrance Day activities outside. It's going to be a high of 13 and a low of 6, so it's going to be sunny. Going into Tuesday, expect it to be sunny as well, with a high of 5 and a low of 0. For Wednesday, though, expect a little bit of wet snow and for the weather to change up to be a little bit chillier. So the high is going to be 3 and the low is going to be -1. But for Thursday, the sun's going to be trying to peek through a little bit with a high of 2 and a low of -2. Going into the weekend, though, it's going to be hotter, so that's perfect. It's going to be a high of 3 and a low of -2 for Saturday and Sunday, with the sun peeking through, but it might be a little bit cloudy still. I'm Grace, back to you.
Thanks, Grace. Now to Jacob for sports.
Hello, I'm Jacob Schultz, and here's your Skedline Sports Update. It was a busy night in the NBA yesterday. The Raptors climbed to first in the Eastern Conference with a 120-88 win over the Philadelphia 76ers, who are still looking for their first win of the season. Former Raptor Rudy Gay picked up a double-double in the Sacramento Kings' first road loss against the injury-riddled Oklahoma City Thunder, losing 101-93. The game between the Jazz and Pistons went down to the wire as Utah grabbed a 1-point win in Detroit, 97-96. The Jazz improved to 3-4 on the season, while the Pistons sit at 2-4. Kobe Bryant and the new-look Los Angeles Lakers secured their first win of the season, topping the Charlotte Hornets 107-92 at home. The Lakers take on the Western Conference leading Memphis Grizzlies Thursday. Norris Cole and Dwayne Wade combined for 40 points as the LeBron-less Miami Heat triumph over the Dallas Mavericks 105-96. Disco Dirk Nowitzki scored 17 points and grabbed 6 rebounds in the loss. The hot hand of Steph Curry could not help the Golden State Warriors cool off the Phoenix Suns as they lost 107-95. Isaiah Thomas was firing on all cylinders from the bench, putting up 22 points in 27 minutes of work. Now we will pivot over to the Canadian NHL results from last night. The first of 5 installments of the Battle of Ontario went to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Buds won their second game in as many nights after ousting the Ottawa Senators 5-3. Caledon native Peter Holland netted a goal and added an assist, while captain Dion Phaneuf picked up a +3 rating, something you do not see often. The Leafs are back at home Wednesday to take on the Boston Bruins. 2 familiar faces played important roles as the Vancouver Canucks visited the Pond in Anaheim to face the Ducks. Former Duck Nick Bonino scored the only shootout goal, while ex-Canuck Ryan Kessler hit the post to give Vancouver a 2-1 win. The Canucks are facing the Ottawa Senators tomorrow night. The resurgent Calgary Flames are in Raleigh, North Carolina, tonight to face off against the struggling Carolina Hurricanes. Calgary is looking to win their 10th game this year, something they could not achieve until early December last season. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Jacob Schultz, and that is your Skedline Sports Update. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Jacob. That's all for today. Until next time, this is Emily Singh.